Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spiritual Spotlight series. Today, I am joined by James Van Praagh. He is an amazing medium and psychic with an illustrious career in TV, as well as being a world-renowned teacher and speaker. He has made it his mission to help others develop their inner talents and mediumship skills. So he has a new course coming up, and he has a retreat coming up that we're going to talk about today. James, thank you so much for coming on the Spiritual Spotlight series. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to meet you and be in your space. How's that?
Oh, I love it. I have to tell you, James, you are on my vision board. So this
Really?
is a dream come true for me.
Really? Wow.
100% without a doubt. You
I've
are, it's
never
already
heard that before. I'm gonna cry.
You're welcome. No, just kidding. Just kidding. But
Manifestation
legitimate,
is happening.
I will say that in the beginning of my kind of spiritual career and whatnot, you were one of the people that I looked up to. And
Thank
I was
you.
like, oh, that man is legit. 100%. You're on my vision board. I can check that off.
Well, thank you. I was one of the only ones out there doing this work. That
You were
yeah.
100%. Like this.
That was the first one out there before John Edward, before Sylvia Brown,
Yes. Yes,
I was one
you
of the first
were.
on television. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were
Yeah.
amazing. So
Thank you.
you've had an incredible journey as a medium and a psychic.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you want to talk about this, but can you maybe
I'll
take
talk about anything you want, honey. Don't worry. It's your show.
let's talk about it. I just had George Michael pop in my head. It was completely
Oh,
different.
he's
Can,
come through.
can you talk about maybe the moment or maybe the moments that you realized that you had this gift?
Sure. For me, it was a very natural, which it is. It's really very natural. Mediumship is actually very natural. And it's, in days gone by, centuries gone by, this was part of the everyday life for people. They'd be aware of the other worlds. Once religion got involved, it changed a little bit. But for me as a child, I'm literally writing my autobiography right now. So I'm in this chapter one, which I'm talking about this. So it's
Yes.
perfect timing. And I was like probably 2 years old. And my parents were in the living room of the part of the house. And my father's carrying me on his shoulder, bring me into the bedroom, the kids' room, the baby room, and put me in the crib. So I was like probably close to two, I think. And I remember I would be really upset and pissed off. And the reason why was because I want to be with the adults. And I'm a night owl, I'm not a morning person. And so I was crying and crying. And every single night I'd see a man in the corner of the room with white hair and blue eyes. And he'd walk over to me and he'd play with this kind of mobile type of instrument and it would fascinate me and I'd fall
Yeah.
asleep. Happened night after night after night. And then eventually, probably when I was 7 years old, my grandmother showed me a photograph album. And I said, wait, who's that man in that photograph? And she said, oh, that's your grandfather. He died before you were born. I said, I know him, and he's been with me ever since. And I used to see spirit all the time as a
Yeah.
child. When we kids, you play outside, let's build a fort. Well, I'd see spirits around my friends building a fort. And I thought everybody could see them. I would see colors around people, and the aura. I would just know this, and I'd know.
Yeah.
But I thought everybody could, because as a kid, you look at the world around you, you measure your experiences that that's the way it is. So I thought everybody was able to do that, not just me. And the
Yeah.
funny thing was, as I look back, I was always kind of, I don't want to say abused as a child, but like made fun of or something like that.
Mm.
It was just because of my size. But it's really interesting. Even a seminary I went to, the first night they put a mop in my bed. I'm like, what? So it was always a sense of teasing. And years later, I went to a healer and he said to me, James, you came back in this life as short in stature, which I am. And he said, because you have so much power and light that people get intimidated by it.
That
So I
makes
think as a
sense.
kid, kids are very open to, and I think in some way I think that's my hypothesis. But so yeah, my child was always like that. My mother was she was Irish Catholic, very, very psychic. I used to do prayers every night before I go to bed, kneel by the side of the bed, and I'd say, Mommy, who are those angels at the end of the bed? She goes, oh, them? Those are God's angels. Yeah, those are the lights around them. Those are God's angels. They'll always protect you. They'll always take care of you. And she said, I used to see them too as a little girl. They'll always take care of you. And that was kind of my beginning, that it was okay and her approval that to do this.
I love that. So
Yeah.
mediumship often comes with skepticism, and I'm sure you've dealt a lot with this, having your career
You
many,
kidding?
many years ago in
Yeah.
psychics devil work and this and that. So how did you build the confidence to share your abilities with the world?
Well, I kind of had a sense of who I am. And I think it's the secret for everybody, every soul is if you have that sense of who you are, that's your way in. And it's true, it's who you are and be who you are, not everybody else, because
Yeah.
everybody else is taken. Be yourself. And I think if one has that strong sense of themselves, that who they are. And it was funny because when people would say to me, this doesn't exist, or it's cold reading, I was like, I'd look that up, like, what does that mean, cold reading? I had no idea what that even means. And the skepticism part of it wasn't part of my belief system. It was like, I don't understand what that means because I know I could see this, I know I can hear these things. So
Yeah.
they don't understand that.
Yeah.
I get the references because I used to have the amazing Randy who had a skeptic society. He was a magician. I was like, well, and I think it's okay to be skeptical per se, but because skeptics have an open mind, at least to something
True.
changing. But cynicism is different. Cynicism, they've already made up their mind. So cynicism is worse than skeptical. And I'm pretty skeptical about things as well, because for me, you have to, be aware of it and look at it, but I wouldn't just come over and say, "Oh, it doesn't exist." But I had to fight that. I took a lot of blows, I guess you could say, from, when I first started, because really no one was doing this, and I was out there, I put myself out there, and I had to. It was almost I had to, and I got the TV shows. It's so weird it all worked because I was doing these readings, and it was just, I mean, even that, like, I didn't want to do this. I wanted to be a sitcom writer. Hello, I'm funny. I thought I'd do a sitcom. So I moved to LA to be a sitcom writer. And it was through a series of weird events. A friend of mine said, "You want to go see a medium?" I said, "What's a medium?" He said, "Someone talks to dead people." I said, "Oh, I don't know if I believe in that." And I walked into his office, his house, his apartment, and he looked at me and he goes, "You're a medium." And I said, "Oh, I thought it was a small, but thanks." And,
Okay,
and
that's
then
good.
he did up and then in 2 years' time, spirit people are going to use you. They want to use you to help change the consciousness of the planet.
Wow.
And I'm looking at this guy and I thought, oh, I just moved from New York and I'm in California, land of fruit and nuts. I'm like, oh, I have pay dirt right here. But he went on and said something very interesting. He gave me great detailed messages of loved ones that passed over. So there's something he said, in 2 years' time, the spirit people are going to use you. I'm like, okay. But he went on and said some great things about loved ones. And it got me fascinated about life after that. So I started meditating. I went to a bookstore and I got meditation books. And it just felt second nature to me,
Mhm.
that this mindset. So I started meditating and then I went through a series of temporary jobs. And then one day I was working in Paramount Studios in their syndication department, preparing contracts. And I'm walking in after lunch at my cubicle, and my coworker walks next to me in her cubicle. And as she's walking in, I see a dead lady standing behind her, a dead woman. And the dead woman looks at me just like that. And it was like the sixth sense. It was like, and she immediately started transmitting thoughts to me. She said, I'm her
Wow.
grandmother. I lived in Idaho. We made a footstool cover together. I was a yellow house, white shutters. And she goes, please tell her. And I'm like, okay. So I asked my coworker, who was kind of cool because she read astrology, and then she's
Yeah.
kind of open. And she goes, oh, yeah, that was my grandmama. And we had a pact that when she passed over, she'd come back and let me know she was okay. So I freaked out, ran out of Paramount, never to go back again, ran to my apartment, and I'm pacing back and forth in my apartment. And I'm thinking, what's going to happen now? I'm crazy. People are going to think I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Because in that time, no one really did this. It was like
It's
very early
true.
90s. No one did it. So I called that man, the medium, because I didn't know who else to call. And I said, this is what happened to me. And he goes, well, James, do you not remember the spirit's prediction? And I said, yeah. He said, James, they said 2 years, and today is exactly 2 years. So after that, he took me under his tutelage, and I sat with
Yeah.
him 7 years in a development circle in the quiet, didn't give one message, just sat there bringing my power up and becoming aware of exactly what the connection was with the spirit
Yeah.
world, how to work with them. And that was when it all started. And then when I started readings after 7 years, it was just word of mouth. And I
Yeah.
did two a day, and I got busy weeks ahead, months ahead, then like
Yeah.
6 months. And then Unsolved Mysteries came to my house, and then there was a show called The Other Side on NBC. It was a pilot, and I did that. And then I did a lot of things. Then Larry King started, did that 10 times, and did my own show, and then The Ghost Whisperer. Yeah,
I
lots
love
of
it.
stuff.
I
Lots of
love
stuff.
it. I love it so much.
And it
Now,
reaches all people, it reaches everybody and opens up
it
their mind
does.
and their
It really
hearts. That's what it's
does.
about.
And
Yeah,
and it could just be like one episode on Unsolved Mysteries that opens up that little blocked box inside of your heart.
exactly.
And
Exactly right. I mean, just that little thing, or a way someone phrases something,
yeah,
or just an insight. Like, oh, wait a minute. So yeah, you never know how you're going to touch people's lives, but what you say and what you do.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, do you happen to have any spiritual practices that help you to stay connected to the spiritual realm and maybe maintain your energy? Because I'm not sure if you have experienced this, but I know a lot of healers and mediums and psychics that have burned out by their craft because maybe they don't have like the best spiritual hygiene practices in place.
You're so funny.
You're like, we're all burning
I'm
up,
going
my
back to
friend.
I'm going back to my 40 years. And if I ever heard somebody say medium and healers, that would never exist in those days because it didn't happen. So now it's like, wow, it's everywhere.
It
Um,
is.
it's everywhere, right? Which is great because now there's a different mindset and there are more
It
people
is.
into it. It's not a weird thing, it's natural, which it should be. So, sweetheart, what I did in the very beginning, and this is from my teacher, the development of my mediumship is really opening up that sense, our senses. And we have to do it not only for physical, but an emotional selves, our mental selves, our spiritual selves, because
Yeah.
they're all integrated, you see. And
Yeah.
with mediumship and healing and psychic work, you have to realize, and again, it comes with the development. And I can tell you right now, there are a lot of people out there doing this work without having any awareness about how it's affecting their physical being. So, when we work in this type of work as sensitives, as empaths, we're working on the adrenals. And the adrenals are really our psychic tool. That's who get us
Yeah.
our energy going. It's like the fuel tank. And if you overuse the adrenals, you're going to empty
Mm.
that tank and you
Yes.
have nothing left, and it's going to affect you. So it's almost like a ceiling fan that keeps on running. And if it keeps on running that, you'll burn out the motor and then it'll be nothing. And I've met many people who've done this work or attempted it in the wrong way and don't
Mm.
understand anything about the adrenal system, the endocrine system, and they burn out, they get cancer, they get other diseases. And then, it's so interesting because mentally things get affected, emotional things get affected. So we got to honor all those parts of ourselves.
Yeah.
So I would be very aware of when I work, I open myself up. I've been bringing myself to a position of opening myself, my awareness, my mindset. And in different ways, whether it's I envision a stage and there's a curtain and the curtain opens and the show begins and then spirit walks on stage or different techniques
Yeah.
right in the course. And those things really work to get you to behave that way in your mind and close down. When you're done, you're closed. You shouldn't be open at all. So, Teresa Caputo, she had a Long Island medium.
Yeah.
And I think, wow, this is really bad because, and it's not, I don't blame her because she doesn't know. It just
Yeah.
doesn't realize it. But she's like walking into butcher shops and seeing someone in a
And she
car.
taps them, and it's like this
Yeah. And it's
open
like,
channel. You're like, is this real? Because this doesn't feel. Sorry,
it's
my
unhealthy.
personal opinion. My personal opinion.
It's unhealthy.
Yeah.
I met her once, she's a nice lady, but
Yeah.
it's teaching the public the wrong way of doing this.
Yeah.
And you got to be responsible because it's taxing on the physical body,
It is.
the emotional body, the mental body, the spiritual body. It's depleting. And we have to be responsible enough to know when to turn off, when to turn on.
Yeah. Like it brings me back to the book, The Body Keeps a Score. And like your body, everything is embedded into your cellular tissue. And then,
So
like you
true.
brought up the adrenals and then the endocrine system, like your hormones are your master energy force. And if you're not,
Hello,
hello,
right?
and if you're not able to keep them in balance, you're like, I love that analogy of the ceiling fan and burning
Isn't
up
that
the
a good
motor.
one? It's
That's a really
true.
good one.
Yeah.
Very good.
So true.
So
And that's true
before, go
also,
ahead.
sweetheart. That's true with everyday life.
It
It's
is.
around negative people.
Yes.
How you want to be a negative people because they're draining you
Yes.
emotionally, they're draining you mentally. So we got to look at our whole life and see what part of us is not in balance. And where
Absolutely.
we got to draw boundaries, really healthy boundaries in our lives.
And being okay with saying no.
Be okay with saying no. No is a good word.
No is a complete sentence.
It's a great sentence. It is. It's true. It's very true.
So,
And you know what? Someone else's problems are not your
yeah.
problem. Like I have a friend who's
Oh, that's a really good point too. Is this mine or is it someone else's? And am I
yeah.
responsible for this or am I not?
So part of what I teach is also discernment between
Oh,
your energy and someone else's. So if we think that we're all radios, right? They're programmed for receiving and giving out all the time. Sometimes people who aren't aware will take this energy and they feel depressed or they feel something's going on, something's wrong. And it's like, well, not necessarily your energy. You're running someone else's energy.
you
So
are.
this discernment is really important to know who you are, what's
Yes.
yours, what's not yours. So
100%.
yeah.
I love that. That's such valuable advice. That's something that I'd like to bring up in a lot of my interviews is discernment and who you're
Discernment's
going
biggie.
to as like a healer or a psychic medium and where your education and where you're going the teaching because is it somebody who hasn't you've spent years developing your craft and your skill and now teach others these amazing skills and abilities but some people now they don't do that and it's very different.
And you know what's also what I find in teaching, well, this is done when I do physical teaching with people, I'll say, how many people here want to be a medium or psych, who do psychic work? And say, raise their hand and say, what is the reason behind it? Do
Oh,
you want to be famous or something? I want a famous or I want a TV show. Right, got it. And just take it in. And then I say, you know what? You're doing it for the wrong reasons.
yeah.
Intention is wrong. It's about service of humankind.
Yes.
That's the only reason. There's no room for ego when you do this type of work. You
So
really
true.
there's no ego because you get involved in the ego, you shut off. You shut off.
It's interesting, and I'm sure you've seen this many years in the field, and this is really off topic, but I've seen it within like the field that I'm in as well, and I'm like, oh, you're now attacked by your ego, and it's like they start to like delivering these like toxic energies, and you're like, oh god, no
And
thank
their own
you.
stuff is coming out. They're
Yes.
visiting. They're puking their own stuff at other people. And ego is ego edging God out.
Ooh, I
That's a good
love
one. And it's
that.
true. When we think, why? God is everything, inspirational, whatever, that creative force. But when you try to control it and get your
Mm,
person, and if people's insecurities come out with ego, it's all about their insecurities. It's all about
yes.
them releasing those insecurities to
Yes.
others. And that's not right.
So with your course, Next Level Mediumship, it's advanced techniques for connecting with the spirit world for soul infusion readings. I want before we delve into the course, I do want to ask you one more
Yes.
question. With
Yes. The
with
answer is
oh
yes. No, go on.
maybe
Maybe.
with over 40 years in the field, how has your understanding of the afterlife evolved? Have spirits
Oh,
ever surprised you with something that you may not have expected?
well, my brother just passed over 3 weeks
I'm
ago.
sorry.
So there, no, don't be sorry, be happy.
Oh yeah, death is just a doorway. Hello, who
So,
am I talking to?
yeah,
Excuse
right,
me.
hello.
It's
So
fine.
people at his funeral would come up and say, I'm so sorry. And I'm like saying, Daddy, he's
He's
really
right here.
happy. Be there. Yeah. And this is very interesting, which I want to share with you and
Sure.
everybody, which I learned. My sister passed over 2 years before him, which is, I don't know, death is sort of thing. So, but she used to come to me before she died physically, and her soul would come to me, and when she was still in her coma, and she would come to me and say, "Oh, I'm a Sister Rosalie." I'm like, "Who's Sister Rosalie?" And my other sister said, "Oh, that was her counselor at age 14 at the camp." I'm like, "Oh." And my brother, who was ill, and he wasn't as a coma, but he knew of my work, of course. And we used to have this agreement that whoever goes first, you're going to help the other person over if you could, because we'd be stuck with that,
Yes, people do get stuck. Yeah.
right? So we made that agreement. Unfortunately, I'm in California. He was in New York, so my health proxy thing didn't work in New York. But he used to come to me in my bedroom and say to me, James, get me out of there. Cut the cords. Cut the cords. I got out of there. I can't be there anymore because he was on a feeding tube. He was on
Oh,
a bag.
oh,
And my brother would not be like that. He was very
oh,
Sagittarius, very go, go, go. So I said, Michael, I'm trying. I'm trying. We can only do so much.
yeah.
And so the funny thing is, you'll appreciate your sense of humor. His wife, his ex-wife, who did not like, went to New York to visit him at the end of his life.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't know this. The day after he passed over, he came to me. What? He's such a New Yorker. What's he doing? My ex-wife is there? And she's the one that kicked me over to the side. I saw her face and I'm out of
You're like,
here. I'm,
deuces.
I'm out of here. So
She
it's
forced
so
him out.
funny. It was so funny. But that taught me about, that the soul is out of the body before physical death. Which
Oh,
makes sense. We leave our bodies
yeah.
all the time. And that was a great one. He came to me 3 days ago, and I was getting a massage, and it was just like it's so relaxed. And
Yeah.
mediumship is surrendering. And I
Mm.
was just surrendered and in that stillness of my being. And I wasn't trying it or anything. I was just lying there. And he came to me, and my family came to me, and friends for years came to me. There was this whole celebration around me, all this light, this divine light, and everybody's so happy and joyful, and just really. And I'm thinking, am I going there now? Because we felt so connected and
Yeah.
interconnected with them. That was an interesting experience. I hadn't had that before, so that
I
was really
bet.
new. When you allow yourself and you surrender to the
Mm.
wonderful worlds around us, there are worlds within worlds within worlds.
Yes.
And we open up the essence of all of that and the knowledge that has. Wow, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty incredible, and it's pretty humbling.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It must make you feel like sometimes we're part of a cog in a wheel. Like we're
That's right.
all part of this, and we're like one small aspect of it.
That's
Like
so true.
one small, but
That
and just as important, but we're part of a bigger ecosystem.
Yeah, but the human being thinks so much of the human being. It's like it's just part of it. It's
Our
millions
flesh
and millions of
bag.
galaxies, I mean, hello. And I often say, human beings get caught up in the complexity of the simplicity. Because
Mm,
it's really simple, but we want the human mind gotta get controlled
yeah.
as
Get out of your mind.
but
So,
I'm
with your new course, it's designed to help people unlock their own mediumship abilities. What inspired you to create this program?
I don't know.
Okay, fine. Next question.
Now, so let
You
me tell you
teach.
about
Next question. Go ahead.
I love your energy. You're so serious with this question. Like, we can just talk. So,
I'm
so
like, hello, get
what's,
my question
oh,
across.
yeah, here we go. Let's have coffee talk. So, really, what it's about in this course and advanced techniques, I'm going to say to you, because the question you asked me is such a great one in that, people would be mediums out there. They're putting the word out there. I'm a medium. They're putting shingles up. Well, you have to with responsibility. You've got it with integrity. So I'm going to tell you because I've had years now of teaching. I have my own school online, the JVP School of Mystical Arts. I do that. But I've noticed this. It's really interesting with students, mediums. Oh, I'm a medium. I was like, well, are you really? Or are you just putting that out there? So, and this course gives different perspectives on
Mm,
things one would never expect because I have them work. I have them really do some soul searching because what good are they teaching others if they don't know who they are, right? So in the course, they bring a lot of techniques and exercise and discovering your own soul and
mm,
really the right way to reach out to, be mindful of spirit around you, surrendering the correct way. And again, when you do that the right way, you get the ego steps aside and your soul comes out. So it's really about, I have techniques and exercise, but getting in touch with your soul self and being that messenger, being that instrument,
yeah.
which we all are. We're an instrument of that light, of that soul interesting energy. And really, I kick some ass in that. What I want to
Kicks
say is,
ass.
yes. And then I push people to be, and a lot of people say to me, wow, you're teaching. I never expected this. And it's changed my life because
Love
I
that.
bring them down to the basics. And
I
say, get
love
out of your
that.
head and you got to feel. I just start feeling from your
Yeah.
heart, your head. And mediumship, a lot of people don't do that. I teach
Mm-mm.
from your heart self. I say, head to heart, head to heart. Stop rationalizing because, you can cut the brain off, doesn't need it, but your mind will be forever and it's your heart. The soul is tucked neatly behind the heart. And
Yeah.
this is what we want to amplify. So in the course, I amplify exercise about connecting with that heart self in ways I don't think people have been around it before, if I could say that, because I'm going to say something which I've never said, but I'm going to,
Okay.
because I don't have an ego. But I will say this, because I'm old and I deserve it. Um, just because someone calls themselves a medium
Yeah.
doesn't mean that they're spiritual. So you could be
Amen.
right? So you could be
Amen.
medium and doesn't mean you have the knowledge, right?
Mm,
And or the wisdom. And I see a lot of mediums out there in public and people have thought, and they're very good technicians, right? They're very good technicians,
yeah.
but they don't have the spiritual part to back it up.
Yeah.
And I'm not judging it. I'm just
No.
saying it's very different. In my work, I have to go with that essence of spirituality that I know that I'm an ambassador of that world, of that
Yeah.
light, the ambassador. And I'm here to teach others, but be the ambassadors, the vessels that you are, and get rid of the ego, get rid of that stuff, and really bring in an awareness that we're all connected
Yeah.
and that really here for each other. It's not about everything you get right. It's really it's a sense, and I can't teach. I mean, I can't. Everybody's different, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think for me, part of my teaching is to bring through also that sense of spirituality,
I think it's very important. I think it's lacking in a lot of realms right
right?
now. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And it gets me upset, but it is, and it's just that's why I teach because people are unaware of
Yeah.
certain things. I live by the golden rule, and I teach them with all my mediumship. Your thoughts are real. Your thoughts have power. Your words
Yeah.
have power. The situations. One of the things I talk about in the course, which is
Yeah.
great, I do this in everyday life. When you've lived your life, you've gone through everything. And I think a successful life is when you look back at your life and you just look back and say, "Wow, the world's a better place having been here."
Oh,
That's a
I love that.
successful for
It
everybody. That's a successful life. You can measure your life by
yeah.
looking back and saying, wow, the world's a better place than I came, got it. And or I've changed lives in my own little way. You have to be a medium, all different ways, obviously.
Absolutely.
But it's
Absolutely.
so true how we touch hearts, how even our day-to-day contact with people, whether it's at the supermarket, the gas station, Target, whatever it might be, if you can say something positive, you can validate someone. If you acknowledge their existence of that they are a beautiful soul, they're a
Yeah.
soul. saying, "Oh, I like your dress. Oh, I love your eyes." And I've done this. I mean, I swear to God, I go to Starbucks. I love your green apron. And like, "Mhm." And it's and it opens up that
It
humor
does. It
and humor's a
raises
high
up your
vibration.
vibration. Yes.
Yeah, the
And
frequency.
that's one of your core lessons is to raise up your energetic vibration. And it
Right.
sounds like a lot of your teaching is very heart space centered and love
Very
or love
much.
for vibrations. So
Very, very much, sweetheart. You got it. That's
yeah,
exactly.
it feels that definitely. Can you maybe share maybe one simple technique for someone to maybe raise up their vibration?
Sure, sure, I could. If you'd like me to,
I
sure.
would.
Okay. So, so everyone can close their eyes. You don't have to do this, but you close your eyes. And in that mindset, we'll do a couple of breathing. So if you're aware that you are a physical being and that you are, this is just a small part of who you are, that 70% of your soul is outside the body, above you, and only 30% is here. And I would just like you to take a deep breath. And as you breathe in through the nose, you bring in a beautiful light, divine light, life force, and bring that beautiful light to every area of your body, every cell, every muscle, every fiber of your being. Just having that thought will make it so. And as we exhale, we're going to exhale out of our nose and release any old stagnant energy attached to our muscles, our tissues that we don't need anymore, whether it's other people's energy, other mindsets, that things that don't belong to us. We're going to release them and let them go. At the exhalation out of the mouth, which will fall down to Mother Earth, that energy, and she'll be able to fertilize fertilize the earth. So we're going to breathe in this beautiful golden light and inhale, surrounding every cell, every fiber, all the way down to your toes and then beyond to Mother Earth. And exhale, release, and just let it go, let it go, and let it go. And again, an inhale, beautiful, and exhale. And just let it go. Good. Let it go. Let it go. And then one more time, and inhale the beautiful divine light. And exhale. And let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Good. And as you're sitting in this space now with this awareness, just imagine that you now are that spiritual person, that you as a soul being, you can actually place your feet on the top of your physical shoulders, and your spirit, your soul is above you. And just raise up your hands in that soul self and receive the sense of everything. You are part of all of it. You're part of the awareness, and you are part of that great love. And just let that love, that feeling of love, just slowly fall down like stardust into your mind, every fragment, and become aware of all those loved ones in the spirit world or your guides or teachers, of all the love you've given, just little sparklets of love, just droplets of love that they share with you now. And just now, for just this time, look at the word joy, joy. And I want you to feel the word joy and what that means to you in your heart. And become aware in your memory of one time in your life where you brought joy to one person, an unconditional sense of joy, and they smiled, maybe it changed their life, maybe it started to put them in a whole different direction about themselves. Just one moment in your life where you brought joy to another person. And as you become aware of that situation, feel the energy that that joy brought them and feel the frequency that that was sent, that vibration, and that is a part of you. And allow yourself to feel that and remind yourself that you are that high frequency, that high vibration. Just that word, just that thought brings you to a new space of awareness. And divine heavenly parent, we ask your blessing upon each one and thank you for reminding us who we truly are. And we bless you and bless everyone in our space. And then slowly open up your eyes and be as one.
Thank you. That was
How's
beautiful.
that? That went a little bit longer than I thought, but I just
That's okay. I felt like I was being wrapped in a warm, fuzzy, like hug,
yeah.
And then of course, whenever like you brought in joy, I went joy, joy, joy down in my heart.
Down on my heart. There's another good one which I'm just I'm writing about right now, which
Yeah.
exercise someone gave me a while back, very spirited. So if we look at how can we do this? So maybe there's a person in your life, I'm just putting something that you don't feel good about. Maybe you're angry with someone or you can't forgive somebody. Or there's a
Hmm.
little bit of judgment. So when you close, just imagine that you close your eyes and you're walking into a forest, right? This big forest. And underneath the tree in the forest, there's a bundle, a blanket there, right? And you pick up the blanket and then to uncover the blanket from the face. And it's a baby of the person that you have problems with. How would you tend to that
How can you
baby?
be mean to that baby?
Right? So it's really looking at someone from that pureness of who they really are. Not who you
Yeah.
think they are, but who they really are.
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
You could use it, yeah.
I will be. I'm like, hmm.
The baby.
I just my mind went my mind went like to my sense of humor.
Baby.
Baby,
I'm saying the
baby,
baby.
the baby. So the course covers blending with spirit. What
Yeah.
does that feel like, maybe? And how can students tell when they're truly connected?
Oh, it's a great one. So I do a couple of exercises, and one of the ones is that you're opening to your space around you. And I'm saying this very quickly, so the course is about to run out.
Of
But
course, I think it's seven
because of
modules.
course, yeah.
It's a course, guys.
That's fine. So the way I do it, which is really great, and I learned this from great friends in England, actually, in the mediumship, the blending courses, everyone is connected. So there's no reason why we can't feel spirit all the time. We are souls in this physical body, in this meat suit. They're souls outside the meat suit. There's no reason why we can't feel them come close to us. So it's just in our mind, we're going to open up that meat suit, if you will. And in your mind, you can do that. So you bring yourself to a surrendering space and you become aware of the space all around you, the energy in front of you, behind you, both sides of you. And you invite them. You invite them. Once you become aware of that space behind you, let's say, you invite the spirit people in. And one of the things I say in the course is, I asked someone to come in who I knew in a lifetime to come. I'm going to share this space with you and have them come behind the person and have the spirit touch my shoulders. Please place your hands upon my shoulders and two become one. And now I go stronger in this. I say, please come stronger. And now we are thinking as one. Please imagine that you are sitting right through me. You're in my lap. And really, I am pushing myself to the side. And I give you one more chance to experience the physical world. So I'm allowing you to come in and just let yourself just go off to the side there in your mind. And I talk about it in the course. And then you see, I say to them something like, we think as one. Every thought I have is your thought. Every vision I have is now your vision. The words out of my mouth are your words. And what I feel is what you feel. So for one last time, let me become you, you become me. And you sit there, and I do this where they sit there for a while, and the spirit comes in so close, and so it's almost like a trance you're in, and the spirit will start saying things to you and speaking things, and it's just you become them. And then I have a time where they come back and you say thank you and let them be. So I started this exercise back many years ago. And a friend of mine who's a medium from England taught me it. And he said the exact same thing, walked me through it. And you just open up to someone you know in your life who we knew who needs to come through. And what I had come through, I didn't expect, my fingers shrunk. I had red nails and I had brown hair and was shorter and I was wearing a blue dress. And I realized, oh my God, I'm my mom. I became a mother. Now, my mother was an alcoholic and she drank her whole life. And
Did that?
I never knew why she drank. And my whole
Yeah.
thing in life was, why did she have to drink? Never knew it until this exercise. It took this exercise for her to come to me. And she said, I didn't even try anything. I'm just surrendering. And
Yeah.
she said, James, the reason I drank was I was not met emotionally by your dad. So I escaped. And I was like, oh. So it opened up a whole new sense of relationship, a
Yeah.
perspective, which I never had before. So it's a
Yeah.
trippy exercise. It's a real good one. And it helps you learn how to surrender and surrender to spirit. So it really helps in your foundation of your mediumship.
Yeah. I love that.
Don't
So
you love that? You can
I
use that.
really do. I really do. I will say that I did a trance mediumship exercise before, blending with spirit. And I remember a gentleman came and it was touched a little bit different, like was sitting on my lap. And then all of a
Yep.
sudden I was like drinking a coffee and smoking a
Yep.
cigar. And I'm like, this is
Yep.
the best thing ever. Like it was
And,
so
and Sure, that's
interesting.
really important to use. So in part of that, and this in the course, I talk about this as well. So it's a certain gesture. So let's say
Oh,
smoking a cigar. You use that cigar, that gesture,
yeah.
and be more of that
It's
personality.
like, yeah, it was very like fascinating to me because I
Isn't
felt
it?
in control, but still
Yep.
connected.
Exactly. 100%. You got
Yeah.
100%. People are like, oh, I don't want to be possessed. Like, no, that's not what it's about. It's like you're still aware, you're still in
Yeah,
control, but you're allowing that
right.
shape, that space. That's all it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, in your experience, what maybe is one of the most transformative moment? I'm speaking, I'm like, oh, I can't speak.
And
What's
yes.
the most transformative moment that spirits typically have during this course?
What a low
Everything.
question. Well, I'm talking about the students have. The
Yeah.
students have. So I'm not necessarily spirit because
Yeah.
we can help them. This is very important to realize that just because someone's passed through the world of spirit doesn't mean they have all the answers. Doesn't
True.
mean they know things automatically. They don't. So many times they're learning from us down here. We're their teachers. We're the greatest teachers. So it goes both ways. So to me, in my teaching, what I have noticed, which I think is most transformative, was I'm gonna cry when I say this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it
Am
happens.
I sorry? No, come on.
And for me, it's validation when I get teary because
Oh,
one of the greatest things that have happened in my teaching, it happens every course I teach, is that there's a sense of the student that they say, you know what? I got to tell you, it's not talking to dead people. It's not the mediumship. I have a new sense of my soul, who I am. I'm so much more powerful than I thought. I'm able to do the mediumship easily. I'm able to discern much easier. I'm able to love myself more. So a lot of these people have started to have relationships with their soul self,
yeah.
and they will not let people walk on them anymore. They actually empower themselves. Maybe the power they left years ago, gave it away, their parents or teachers, whatever. They finally get their power back and that empowerment of their soul self, and it starts their whole life all over again. It smells like brand new life. That to me has been the most transformative in my
Love it.
courses.
I have to say, in hearing you speak about your course, like to me, being a psychic and a medium, it's not necessarily something that I'm attracted to, but the connection back
Can
to
I
my
share with you something? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's a term which bothers me.
what's it?
Psychic medium. Well,
Being
every
connected to a different
well,
realm.
every medium is psychic. Not every psychic is a medium. So
100%. And there's a big distinction there. You're
yeah. So
100%
if anyone
correct.
people call themselves a medium and they call them a psychic medium, I'm like, no, that's redundant
Mm,
because every medium has to be psychic. So
yes.
you can
Yes.
just say medium. But I know it's a social term that people are familiar with,
Yeah.
and I know how it was coined and when it was coined, and like, forgive me,
Well,
I'm sorry.
maybe coin a new term, sir. Okay.
Well, that's very interesting. So I'd say medium would be a great term, or spirit messenger. That's great.
I like that.
Yeah, and I call myself a spiritual medium again
I like
because
that.
I bring that essence
The
of that
spiritual
spirituality.
essence.
Yeah,
But
that's a great term. I like that.
so learning how to be a spiritual medium in your course,
Yes,
I will say that I'm more excited about with your course being reconnected back to my soul and
totally.
being connected back to myself and having the additional benefit of being able to discern different readings and whatnot. I think that's amazing. But
Well,
being
when you know yourself, when you have that
yeah,
relationship with soul, the medium is much easier.
absolutely. Like I find that aspect of it so much more exciting. Not
Totally,
discounting the spiritual mediumship part of it. That's also amazing. But
totally. Because when
more
you know your
personally,
soul and you know yourself, life happens.
you're limitless.
You're limitless. Exactly
Yes, you're
right. And that's who we
limitless.
are. That's
I love
exactly
that.
it.
I love it. So many people hesitate to explore their spiritual mediumship gifts due to fear or doubt. What would you say to someone who maybe is on the fence about joining your program?
What's the worst that could happen? You don't want to waste the time you have here. This time on this earth is very limited.
Mm,
Like being older now, it's like we're really limited. And you look back, it's like, wow, if only, if only. You don't want to live your life and have shouldas, wouldas, or couldas. I wrote
yeah.
a book about it years ago called Unfinished Business. And the reason I wrote that book, because I had so many spirits come in and say, if only I knew then what I know now, I would have said yes instead of no. So life is a series of choices. That's all
Mm,
it is, a series of choices. And all choices are based upon two things, either love or fear. And fear, Fear, false ego appearing real, is only this three-dimensional human vibration.
yeah.
It's not a spirit. We are loving beings. So it's really, sweetheart, I could tell you where it comes from, maybe. Fear could be what other people are going to think of me,
Mm,
the religious thing. Will I get possessed? Will be demons? No, I don't. I don't believe in demons. I
same.
don't believe that stuff. I just think, people sometimes in life, I think it's also you and I have very similar, I know we never met before, but we have very similar, I can say enthusiasm, but we jump in. We
Yeah.
jump in because life is too short.
Yeah.
And it's when you take chances, life really begins. And for me to leave my job at Paramount Studios years ago, when Spirit came to me, my guide said, if you work with us, we'll always take care of you. And I'm like, huh, huh. So we're constantly being tested, right? So that
I
was a
love
test
that.
for me. And I was in my 20s. And I knew that, wow, I got to give a job at Paramount Studios where I'm paid a lot of money. I'm a
Yeah.
manager. I have insurance. I can get a car. And like, or do I do the spiritual mediumship work, which is like, I don't know who's going to come to me, how they're going to find me, how I'm going to pay my rent, how I'm going to get my groceries.
Yeah.
But inside me, I knew I had to follow through with that. It
Yeah.
felt the passion of it. And I did. And they've taken care of me. They've taken care of me. I don't live like a king, but I live okay. And
I
I've
love that.
traveled around the world. And
Yeah.
the most important is I've influenced millions of lives in a
Yes.
real positive way and kind of gave life back to a lot of people. And that to me is successful. And I'm so happy that I kept that, agreement and did that because it has changed the consciousness. It really has.
I like how you put fear is a false ego
False,
appearing.
false ego appearing real.
And
It's
I
true.
do it false expectations appearing real. So that's
I'm stupid, so it's much easier.
no,
False ego.
I love that you say that. I was like, finally, someone else. Yes. I love that.
Totally. And I say, people say, what's your religion? I said, well, I don't have a religion per se.
Yeah.
What I do is love. Love is my religion.
Yeah. Love or
Oh,
above.
what's it? Love. And I say, and what does that mean? I said, well, love is one. I said, what does that mean, one? I said, love is one. One, O-N-E, omnipresent, nurturing energy. We're all one.
I love that. Before I ask you
You can
about your
have that
retreat,
one too. Yeah.
I'm gonna take them all.
Take
Before
them
I
all. They're
take them
there
all.
for the taking.
You said you
I don't
influence
know
millions, okay? Like I'm one of those. So, before we talk about your retreat,
Oh,
maybe what
yes, my
is your
retreat.
retreat in Maui? What
Yay.
is the most common challenge spiritual mediums encounter in developing their gift beyond simply trusting their abilities?
Getting out of their head. Getting out of their head because the human animal is so used to being what are people going to think of me? Oh, I got to get this right. I got to get this right. And it's not the way it is. It's the opposite in mediumship. You just got to surrender to your soul self. Your soul knows, right? It's been around
Yeah.
through ages and ages and worlds within worlds. So you got to, that's part of that human thing of getting rid of it. So a lot of my students have to get them out of their heads and into their hearts.
Yeah.
So it's that's really what it is. They're too much in their heads. Now, if you're thinking about it, you're not doing mediumship because you're thinking of it. You're still not human part of you. But if you're doing true mediumship, you've surrendered to such a point that you become aware of the impressions, the subtleties that come in. But if you're
Yeah.
thinking about it and you're not medium, you're just thinking about it. Clear vessels is what mediumship is about.
That is an excellent answer. I love that.
Thank
I
you.
really do. It's an excellent answer because I have a couple of friends that doubt their gifts and I'm like, maybe drop your ego at the door and just
Yeah, if
surrender.
you're again, and this is from a friend of mine from England. If you're thinking about it, then you're not doing mediumship because you're thinking, your activation. There's activation in the mind, and you don't want that. You want to be
Yeah.
the vessel, which is that wonderful surrendering part of you, which is open
Yeah.
to receiving. And remember, spirits are all different. Their personalities are different. Their hobbies are different. And that's really the fun is that art called the art of discovery, discovering the differences. And how can you do that if you want to make it up, do something? No, let them come to you. Don't go after
Right.
them. You let them come to you.
I love that. So you have a retreat that's coming up in July in Maui, and you have limited spots available. So please tell us
Yes.
all about it.
Yes, I think I have 20 spots left. That's it. And it's I did yoga. I started yoga. Well, I started yoga for years, but about 5, 6 months ago, I started with a girl named Sue
Nice.
White. And she comes to my house twice a week and we do Pilates and yoga and she mixes things up. And I'm like, I've done yoga for years, but I've never seen these poses and stuff. And I noticed after a while she would do certain poses and I'd start crying or things would happen and old memories
Yeah.
would come like, what is this about? And she said, just experience it. Well, she's a healer, obviously.
Yeah.
And what she was doing, these certain poses release traumas that we hold
Mhm.
on to certain muscles in our body
Yep.
and we relive them. And so I said, we got to do a retreat. And I don't retreat with a lot of people. And this is my only retreat I'm doing all year, right? So I said, can we do a retreat? She goes, well, yeah, there's a place in Hawaii we could go and rent it all out. And I said, let's do a full week. So we're doing a retreat called Soul Retreat. And the first day is mind, body, spirit. The first day is the mind. So we do exercise to go into that mind and see
Yeah.
what's sitting in your mind, what you're holding on to, why you're holding on to it,
Mm.
how it changes your perspective of the world you're living in and yourself. And whether it's forgiveness for people, old experiences that traumatized you, it changed your point of view. So we work with the mind, right? The mind is the soul's mind. So that's going to be a whole day of investigating different exercises. And the second day is going to be the body, which is, of course, these poses that she has, all different types of
Yeah.
poses that release these traumas, and also what's fulfilling you, why you're holding on to this stuff, right? And the third day is, and then we have a static dance at night,
I
which
love
is
that.
great. Yeah,
You
and
gotta move to move that energy.
that's life. Life is
Yeah.
moving. And the third is, of course, spirit. Which is going to be, so it'll be intuition exercise, it'll be
Nice.
mediumship. It'll be, I'm going to push everybody to do it. We can all do it. So it's going to be some fun stuff. It's going to be soul searching. It's a soul retreat. And I guarantee people are going to leave with a whole different sense of who they are.
Yeah.
So people should sign up if they're
Okay.
interested, right away, because there's only 20 spots.
And it's
They're
gonna
going
fill
to go.
fast.
It'll go
Yeah.
fast. And so this is it, kids.
This is it, kids. And also to see you in
Kids.
person. Like that's
And
amazing.
that's me in person. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is it for me. So yeah, this will be the one. And we'll have spend the whole days together. We'll hang out,
Yeah.
do a lot of readings. So yeah,
That's
have
awesome.
other people do readings. We'll work on it all together. I believe in oneness. I believe we're all community. And if I could guide someone too, but guess what? There are people that have much better instruments than I am, and they might not even know it. So it's
Right.
also honoring them and empowering them.
I love it. Well, James, thank you again so much for coming on the Spiritual
Excuse me one
Spotlight
second.
series.
May I point out my website?
Yeah, no, you may not. Of course you may. And then
What's the
also,
name?
I will
What's the
say,
name of it?
what is the name of, I don't know. Tell me. Is it jamesvanprague.com?
Vanprog.com. Then, because we were joking before we got on about my name.
Yes,
And I said, what's
everyone, I have
Prague?
my educational lesson for today that James so enlightened me with.
That's
Thank
right.
you. And I
Yeah.
will make sure to in the show notes before we wrap this up. Thank you again,
Yeah.
James. I will
Thank
make
you.
sure to, if for next level mediumship, that will be in the notes, to go to his retreat, that will be in the show notes, and also to just get more information from James to go to his website. So I apologize for not usually asking my last question before I do. It's always, if someone wants to get connected with you, where should they go?
And we'll do this again. We'll do other podcasts.
I would love that, James.
I
Thank
love
you
that too.
so much again.
Thank you.